We're back with Eric Jackson. He, of course, is founder and president of EMJ Capital. Eric, thanks very much for giving us the extra time. Tell us one or two concerns clients are expressing to you right now.
I think it's been the volatility in rates and the stubbornness in the rates coming down, and sort of the Fed's fixation on higher inflation. When's that going to come down? And just in the month of November, just the magnitude of some of the drops in some of the small cap stocks. So we mentioned IREN and CIFR just in the last segment, and so I think just a lot of people they buy into some sort of long-term multi-year thesis, like saying that, oh, these names are the sort of picks and shovels of the build out of AI, and I believe they could 10x, 20x, 100x in some cases. But then when that short-term volatility comes and you see some of these names that you hold in your portfolios, that IREN and CIFR both basically dropped, I think, 47% from November 4th till 2.5 weeks later. And so that's difficult for a lot of retail investors to stomach. And I try to say that, like, unfortunately in tech investing, that's the feature, not a bug. Even a name like Apple had something like 6 drawdowns from 1981 until they introduced the iPhone in 2007 of 50% or more. And then even after the introduction of the iPhone, they've had 4 more drawdowns between like 20 and 35, 40%. So that's the granddaddy of tech. And so in these smaller cap names, the moves down can be even more vicious. And unfortunately, you just either have to ride it out. Because if you try to time the market and jump out and think you're going to jump back in, more often than not, you're going to lose more money that way than if you just stick to your guns.
You just give us a bit more on a couple of those names you mentioned. IREN, IREN. What are they all about, Eric? Just remind us.
So they're building from the ground up. They're buying the real estate out there in geographic locations, including, by the way, Prince George, BC, but also like West Texas, where they think they have like a cost advantage, like a local power operator. They can negotiate, a fixed cost for the foreseeable future to build out an AI data center. And so they're taking on that risk. They obviously believe that AI is not in a bubble and it's here to stay. And so then once the data center is built out, it's operated. Sometimes they're buying the chips from NVIDIA to power it up, and they're flipping on the power. And then they're saying to the hyperscalers of the world or the oracles of the world, hey, who wants to access our data centers? We've got the power, we've got the chips, we've got the actual physical data centers. And they're basically, it's a game of musical chairs now, where these hyperscalers, they need access to that energized data center source now, not in 3 years from now. And so the people who have kind of thought ahead and built these things out are sort of sitting in the catbird seat. So an IREN and a CIFR have basically morphed from being just a Bitcoin miner a few years ago to taking their know-how of how to build these data centers and kind of positioning themselves at the front of the queue to kind of take orders and power kind of the next generation of AI. So they're referred to as neo clouds. So IREN and CIFR have 3 gigawatts each of these kinds of data centers coming online in the next year. So that's what makes them more interesting, in my opinion, than some of the other players trying to kind of maneuver into the space.
And just broadening it out here, a stock you've long been involved with, Open Door, that you have liked the look of. Do you still favor OPEN?
Yeah, it's 10x since the summer, and I think it's still a potential 100-bagger from here. What's most interesting for the Canadian audience is that the guy who was the COO of Shopify, who basically had to do nothing, just sort of stick around, and whenever Toby steps up to executive chairman, this guy Kaz Najarian was in line to become the next CEO of a $200 billion market cap company today. He decided to quit and take the job as CEO of what was then a $3 billion market cap company. Now, why would he do that? I think it says something about the challenges that Shopify faces in the AI age. And by the way, this is their most important week of the year right now. But it also says something about how well positioned Kaz thinks Open Door is to kind of disrupting that whole real estate market, using AI You won't need a real estate agent anymore. You won't need to do showings of your house anymore. When Open Door really rules the world, Andrew. So it's very interesting from a bunch of angles. Obviously, home ownership, cost of homes is a crisis around the world, in Canada, in the U.S. And so Kaz is looking to kind of make Open Door the Amazon of real estate: faster, cheaper, more price certainty of selling your house, when you'll get the money in hours instead of weeks.
Eric, I think we'll have to jump. Thank you very much. It's always great getting your insight.
Great to talk to you.
Eric Jackson, founder and president at EMJ Capital.